Why do I do this? Seriously, sometimes I sit and I wonder, why do I still do this? I've been reviewing movies for about 3 years now, and throughout my time I've seen some pretty good ones and some pretty bad ones. But during all this time, I never once questioned the validity of the filmmakers behind each film. Well, for the most part, I haven't. But every now and then, a special case comes along that stops and makes you question everything that you've been doing up until this point. And growing up as a huge fan of films, I have always tried to approach this channel giving it my all. If I didn't feel like putting out a review for a movie that I've seen, then I flat out wouldn't do it. For example, I saw Mickey 17 a few weeks ago, and I thought it was fine. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit more from the guy who made Memories of Murder, one of my favorite movies of all time, but I thought it was okay, but didn't have enough to say about it, so I just didn't do a review. But every now and then, something comes along that seems truly horrific, something that cannot be missed, and something that was connected to a game that I played quite often as a kid. It practically was my entire middle school career. And that thing is Minecraft. And look, I know why you're here, you know why you're here, you probably haven't seen this movie, nor do you have any desire to see this movie, but you're probably clicking through the YouTube video recommendations trying to see people crap on what is undoubtedly a huge failure by every measure possible. And is that movie that? 100%. But let's really do a deep dive here. How do these things continue to get made? We always talk about how cinema is dying, and for the most part, there are projects that get huge releases that have no artistic merit whatsoever. So why do they continue to get churned out, and why does it seem like they're only getting worse? Well, I can say from my own personal experience, I've been living in Wisconsin for over a year, and every time I've gone to the theater, there's been a few people. A lot of times the theater's pretty much empty, but this was without a doubt the most packed I've ever seen a theater screening be for a film. And as you can imagine, it was a bunch of kids who brought their parents. And then of course there was just me there to review a movie for my channel. Please subscribe. Within the first 5 minutes, when I heard the great Jack Black utter the line, "As a child, I yearned for the mines," I knew I was in for something truly special. And that line was almost immediately followed up by a screaming goat. So yeah, we're really living back in the year 2014, guys. We as a society will become worse because of this movie's existence. The dialogue is chock full of nothing but exposition, nonstop. These studios truly think that kids are idiots. And look, I know that I'm gonna open myself to the criticism in the comments below of a bunch of people saying, "Come on, Jeff, these are just kids' movies. No reason to treat them like actual adults." Yeah, as if family movies in the past have ever treated their primary audience like they had more than half a brain cell. And you want to know something else that's crazy? There are actually tiny fragments, and I mean the smallest of shards of a theme and story here about kids using video games as a way to express their creativity. Themes of escapism when the world seems to only be getting worse and harder as you get older. But no, all of these little kernels of something interesting are smashed down by Jack Black and Jason Momoa, who are absolutely black holes of charisma that suck all of the energy out of the scene. Jason Momoa's character's entire purpose in this film is to suck and be terrible at everything. Jack Black's entire purpose as a character is to name things that people who have played the video games can recognize. Ha ha! That's an Enderman! That's an Ender Pearl! That's a villager! That's a sheep! And during all of this kid who sat next to me was constantly leaning over to their parents and repeating exactly what Jack Black was saying. Case in point, throughout the entire unbearable 2-hour runtime of this thing, something would show up, like an Enderman. Jack Black would name it as an Enderman, and the kid beside me would lean over to their parent and say, "Hey, Dad, that's an Enderman. It's just like the game." Imagine this happening 47 times, and you have a pretty good summation of what my film-going experience for the Minecraft movie was like. And those aren't the only two characters. This thing is chock full of needless characters and subplots. Again, little tiny kernels of an idea. This could have been a story about a kid trying to explore his creativity in this video game world, maybe being led by an older brother or older sister as they come together. But no! This thing feels like a poor man's imitation of the Jumanji movie directed by Mr. Beast. So what you're left with is an absolute dumpster fire of a movie headlined by an actor who's been insufferable for years, that will probably get this generation even dumber, but will undoubtedly make a gazillion dollars and will lead to more just like it. And along the way, you're treated to butt jokes, the unbearable kid genius trope, licensed music and awful Jack Black songs, endless pop culture references, the term unalive used unironically, and the two main actors straddling each other while flying in midair. Huh, that whole thing kinda sounded like a Stefan bit now that I think about it. If you have a kid, simply let them play the game at home instead of shelling out $50 to see this. Or if you're dying to see something in the cinemas, go see Black Bag instead. This thing is awful. Please don't watch it. I don't want to spend another second of my Sunday talking about it. Minecraft, of course, gets an F.